Atlantis exposed, buried in the Sahara, or drowned in the Atlantic. Trudge through the Sahara's scorching dunes, the horizon shimmering, unaware that beneath your feet lies a 40-kilometer-wide bullseye of concentric rings, whispering of a lost empire. Now sail the Atlantic's restless waves, peering into depths where an island of unmatched wealth might lie drowned. Atlantis, Plato's fabled realm of concentric canals, lush gardens, and unmatched power, has gripped humanity for 2,400 years. Was it buried in Mauritania's eye of the Sahara, the Richat Structure, its rings matching Plato's vision like a cosmic blueprint? Or did it sink beneath the Azores Plateau, swallowed by a cataclysm 11,600 years ago? No scrolls, no ruins, yet the evidence is staggering. Ancient maps marking Atlantia, fossils of sea creatures in desert sands, and beach sand 3,000 feet underwater. I'm the ancientologist, and I spend my time uncovering the parts of history they don't teach in school. Today, we're chasing Atlantis' ghost across deserts and oceans, a mystery that'll seize your soul and obliterate everything you thought you knew about our past. Smash that like button and subscribe. You won't want to miss a second of this mind-bending quest. Number 1. Plato's Tale, Myth or Ancient Memory. In 360 BCE, Athens hummed with philosophers debating the stars, but one story silenced the agora. Plato's quill scratches under flickering lamplight, penning Timaeus and Critias, recounting a tale from his ancestor Solon, who heard it from Egyptian priests in 600 BCE. They spoke of Atlantis, a mighty empire 9,000 years earlier, its capital a dazzling city of concentric rings, 3 of water, 2 of land, spanning 27 kilometers, adorned with gold, elephants, and hot springs. Solon stands in a shadowed Egyptian temple, incense curling, as priests unveil a history older than Greece, their voices heavy with reverence. Plato describes Atlantis conquering Libya to Egypt's borders, only to fall to Athens' ancestors before a cataclysm sank it in a day and night. The priest's warning of divine wrath echoes across centuries. Was Plato crafting a fable for his ideal republic as Aristotle scoffed? Recent 2025 studies of Egyptian chronologies hint at pre-dynastic migrations from the West, echoing Plato's account. Scribes preserved this tale, their hieroglyphs fading as empires rose and fell. Could this vivid story, passed through generations, be a memory of a real place? Why does it resonate so deeply, with no trace in the archaeological record? How does a tale so detailed survive 9,000 years without proof? Number 2. The Eye of the Sahara, Atlantis in the desert? In Mauritania's desolate Sahara, the Richat Structure looms, a 40-kilometer-wide bullseye of concentric rings, visible from space like a cosmic scar. A nomad, sand stinging his face, stumbles across this anomaly, its 3 water channels and 2 land rings mirroring Plato's Atlantis, complete with a southern opening. Discovered by astronauts in 1965, the Richat's geology defies explanation. A hydrothermal dome, not a crater, laced with salt deposits and mollusk fossils dated 15,000 and 7,700 years ago. The Sahara, 11,600 years ago, lush and green, saw the Tamanrasset River flooding these rings, boats gliding through a bustling city. LiDAR scans reveal eroded channels, suggesting a massive flood carved the landscape. The Richat stands as Atlantis' capital, its black basalt, red sandstone, and white limestone matching Plato's tricolor stones, its gold tied to Mansa Musa's mines, the richest in history. Could a tsunami like the Mauritanian slide dated 11,000 years ago have drowned it, leaving salt and sediment? Why does Pomponius Mela's 2,000-year-old map mark Atlantia in this exact spot? Stand on the Richat's rim, the wind howling, sensing a lost world beneath. How does this desert enigma fuel the Atlantis legend? Number 3. The Azores Plateau, a sunken empire? Far in the Atlantic, the Azores Plateau straddles a tectonic triple junction, its volcanic peaks rising as islands above churning waves. A sailor in 9600 BCE navigates the warm Gulf Stream, landing on a fertile isle with hot and cold springs, as Plato described. Core samples from the plateau, 3,000 feet below sea level, reveal prehistoric beach sand and shallow water limestone dated 12,000 years ago, formed above water. Atlantis's capital thrives here, its canals irrigating lush fields, mountains shielding it from icy northern storms. Plato's Atlantis had a vast plain south of lofty peaks. The Azores' submerged plateau fits, with volcanic soil yielding abundant harvests. A cataclysm, perhaps the Younger Dryas comet impact, triggers vertical tectonic shifts, sinking the plateau under miles of water. Geophysical studies confirm the mid-Atlantic ridge's vertical movement, with fossils of shallow water creatures now a mile deep. Atlantean temples crumble as waves surge. Could the Azores be Atlantis's watery grave, its aqueducts drowned? How does this oceanic puzzle challenge the Sahara's claim? Number 4. The Cataclysm. What obliterated Atlantis? Plato's Atlantis vanished in a day and night, sunk by divine wrath or a natural disaster. A thriving civilization, its markets alive with traders, faces a comet blazing across the sky in 9600 BCE. Studies of the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis suggest multiple comet strikes melted North American ice sheets, flooding the Atlantic with trillions of tons of water. Tsunamis surge over the Azores, submerging cities, or blast through the Sahara, leaving salt in the Richat's rings. The Mauritanian Slide, a 300-kilometer-wide seafloor debris field off Mauritania dated 11,000 years ago, points to a tsunami. The Sahara's water erosion scars, visible from space, carve paths to the Richat. In the Azores, 1948 dredges found cobbles lithified in air, dated 12,000 years ago, now a mile underwater. Survivors cling to debris, their screams lost in the roar of waves. Could a global flood, triggered by glacial melt, have erased Atlantis in either location? What's your wildest theory? Cosmic impact, tectonic collapse, or God's punishment? How does this cataclysm echo across both theories? Number 5. The Concentric Rings, a Lost City's Blueprint. Plato's Atlantis boasted a capital of concentric rings, 3 of water, 2 of land, with a central island 27 kilometers wide. Its canals shimmer under a golden sun, ships gliding through, connecting a bustling metropolis. The Richat Structure's rings match eerily, 40 kilometers wide with eroded channels suggesting ancient water flow. Atlanteans navigate these rings, their boats laden with gold and ivory. Recent 2025 geological surveys confirm hydrothermal activity in the Richat, hinting at Plato's hot springs. In the Azores, submerged ridges around the plateau suggest ancient canals, with sonar scans revealing linear structures, possibly docks. The Azores Islands stand as remnants of a larger landmass, their volcanic soil feeding Plato's fertile plain. Why do both sites echo Plato's design so precisely? Could the Richat's rings be a fossilized city, preserved in desert sand, or the Azores ridges a drowned metropolis? Stand in either, tracing the ring's curves. How do these patterns fuel the Atlantis debate? Number 6. The Tricolor Stones, Symbols of Wealth. Plato described Atlantis buildings crafted from black, red, and white stone, a vivid palette of power. Masons in the Sahara, 11,600 years ago, quarry the Richat's black basalt, red iron-rich sandstone, and white limestone, their chisels clinking under a scorching sun. Petrographic studies confirm these stones dominate the Richat's geology, with salt deposits hinting at ancient seas. In the Azores, builders carve dark basalt, red rhyolite, and white pumice, their colors matching Plato's vision, sourced from now submerged quarries. Core samples from the Azores Plateau show these stones formed above water, later sunk by tectonic shifts. Temples gleam with tricolor stone, reflecting Atlantis's wealth. Why do both the Richat and Azores align with Plato's specific stone types? Could these materials, tied to ancient trade networks, point to a real city? Touch these stones, feeling their ancient weight. How do they deepen Atlantis' mystery? Number 7. The Fertile Plain, Atlantis' agricultural heart. Plato's Atlantis lay on a vast, fertile plain south of mountains feeding a sprawling empire. Farmers in the Sahara, when it was green 11,600 years ago, tend crops around the Richat. the Tamanrasset River irrigating fields of millet and fruit. Paleoclimate studies confirm the Sahara's lush phase, with pollen fossils indicating abundant vegetation across a 340 by 230 mile plain, as Plato described. In the Azores, a sunken plain, now 3,000 feet underwater, yields crops twice yearly from volcanic soil. Core samples reveal fertile sediment layers hinting at a lost agricultural hub. Aqueducts, like Madeira's modern levadas, channel water from Azores highlands to fields below. Why do both regions match Plato's plain so closely? Could the Sahara's green past or the Azores' drowned plateau be Atlantis' heartland? Walk these fields, the earth rich underfoot. How does this fertile vision reshape our view of ancient societies? Number 8. The Vanished Records. Why no evidence? Plato's Atlantis, a maritime empire rivaling Egypt, left no scrolls, no statues, no proof. Egyptian priests in 600 BCE, their voices hushed, tell Solon of a lost civilization, their records carved in stone temples. The Han dynasty documented dances, yet the Longyu caves vanished from history. Could Atlantis have been similarly erased? A cataclysm obliterates archives, or priests hide them to guard sacred knowledge. Archival searches in Egypt found no Atlantis references, but pre-dynastic texts hint at Western migrations 5,000 to 12,000 years ago. In the Sahara, oral traditions fade as desertification drove survivors to the Nile. In the Azores, scrolls sink with the plateau, lost to the deep. Why does no trace remain of such a mighty empire? What's your wildest theory? Destroyed records, secret societies, or a civilization predating writing? How could Atlantis vanish from history's pages without a whisper? Number 9. The Hot and Cold Springs. Geological Signatures. Plato's Atlantis featured hot and cold springs, a divine gift of its geology. Steam rises from the Azores furnace springs today, their volcanic heat echoing Plato's words, while cold springs bubble nearby from separate aquifers. Geothermal studies confirm the Azores' active hydrothermal systems, with submerged springs detected on the plateau. In the Richat, ancient hot springs, now dry, tied to its hydrothermal dome, as 1990s studies noted. Atlanteans bathe in warm cisterns, their engineering mastering nature's gifts. Mineral analyses in the Richat found hydrothermal deposits, suggesting past springs fed by underground heat. Why do both sites mirror Plato's specific geological detail? Could the Azores' active springs or the Richat's fossilized ones be Atlantis' legacy? Soak in these waters, feeling their ancient pulse. How do these natural features fuel the Atlantis debate? Number 10. The Maritime Empire, a nexus of trade. Plato's Atlantis was a seafaring titan, its ports buzzing with trade from Libya to the Americas. Ships dock at the Richat's southern opening, when rivers linked it to the Atlantic, laden with gold from Mauritania's mines, once half the world's supply. Archaeological surveys trace ancient trade routes across the Green Sahara, with gold artifacts dated 12,000 years ago. In the Azores, a hub where the Gulf Stream aided navigation connects Europe, Africa, and beyond. Sonar scans reveal submerged linear structures, possibly ancient docks. Merchants barter under Atlantis' tricolor temples, their voices a cacophony of tongues. Why does Plato's maritime vision fit both a coastal Sahara and a mid-Atlantic hub? Could either site have been a global trade nexus? The bustle of these ports fills the air, their sails dotting the horizon. How does this global reach challenge our view of ancient civilizations? Number 11. The Northern Mountains, Guardians of Atlantis. Plato described Atlantis' northern mountains, lofty and numerous, shielding its fertile plain. The Atlas Mountains tower over the Richat, their peaks catching clouds, feeding rivers like the Tamanrasset 11,600 years ago. Topographic studies confirm their height and extent match Plato's account, their slopes ideal for aqueducts. In the Azores, now submerged peaks, their remnants forming today's islands, suggest a larger ancient range. Per geophysical data, Atlanteans carve aqueducts into these slopes, channeling water to fields below. Why do both regions boast mountains fitting Plato's description? Could the Atlas or Azores peaks have guarded Atlantis' heartland? Hike these ranges, the wind carrying echoes of a lost empire. How do these natural barriers deepen the mystery? Number 12. The Egyptian Connection, Atlantis Origins. Plato's tale came from Egyptian priests who claimed their ancestors fled a western cataclysm. Solon, in 600 BCE, scribbles furiously in a temple as priests describe a lost empire, its survivors founding Egypt's dynasties. Genetic studies show North African migrations to the Nile 5,000 to 12,000 years ago, post-Green Sahara, carrying agriculture and writing. Atlanteans, driven by floods, bring their knowledge to the Nile's banks. In the Azores, survivors sail east, their stories etched in Egyptian stone. Why do Egyptian chronologies hint at a Western origin with gods from the West? Could the Richat or Azores be the motherland of Egypt's founders? What's your wildest theory? A lost colony, cultural syncretism, or divine intervention? How does this link reshape Atlantis' story? Number 13. The Skeptics' Challenge. Fiction or forgotten truth? Aristotle dismissed Atlantis as Plato's fable, a prop for his ideal state. He debates in Athens' Agora, scoffing at Solon's tale as propaganda. Scholarship suggests Plato wove real events, like the 373 BCE Hellenic tsunami, into myth, blending fact with allegory. Yet, the Richat's concentric rings and the Azores' drowned plateau defy easy dismissal. Skeptics, hunched over sonar scans, grapple with prehistoric sand 3,000 feet underwater or mollusk fossils in desert rings. Why does Plato's tale align with geological evidence from 9,600 BCE? Could it mix truth and fiction, like the Aeneid's Trojan myths? A lost civilization's memory lingers in oral tales. How do skeptics grapple with fossils, erosion scars, and maps pointing to a real Atlantis? Number 14. Atlantis' Enduring Legacy, a Call to Explore. Today, the Richat draws adventurers, its eroded rings a siren call for Atlantis hunters. Tourists hike its rims, awed by salt-crusted stones, cameras flashing in the desert heat. In the Azores, divers probe submerged ridges, seeking temples lost to the deep. Proposals aim to drill the Richat's core and scan the Azores with LiDAR, chasing Plato's ghost. A UNESCO site could unite both, sparking global fascination. Festivals in Mauritania's Adrar or Azores' Ponta Delgada feature dancers in vibrant costumes celebrating Atlantis' myth. Why does Atlantis still captivate us 2,400 years later? Could the Richat or Azores hold keys to humanity's forgotten past? Stand in either, feeling history's weight. How will their exploration rewrite our story? Atlantis, its rings, stones, and cataclysm haunts us like a cry from a lost world. Was it buried in the Sahara's eye, its salt-crusted rings a fossilized city, or drowned in the Atlantic's depths, the Azores guarding its secrets? Which clue grabs you most? The Richat's eerie rings, the Azores' sunken fossils, the cataclysm's scars, or Egypt's ancient tales? Share your wildest ideas in the comments and let's keep Atlantis' mystery alive. Thanks for joining me. Catch you next time.